Welcome back to America on the Road with Chris Teague, Jack Nerad with you, and we're so glad you're with us for road tests. And we've got some hot cars to road test this time around. Some really interesting stuff. And I know you're a Toyota fanboy, Chris, and you're driving a Supra. You were probably like a pig in, well, you know what, the whole week. Tell us about it.
I was. When it showed up, my wife said, well, won't you be happy this week? Two Toyotas in the driveway.
Yeah.
But it was the 2025 Toyota Supra 3.0 Premium. This, Jack, is the top trim outside of the limited production anniversary model that you can get for 2024-25. I should say that there are no significant changes between the two model years, other than that the 2.0 Premium or 2.0 engine is going away, which was a much more affordable version of this vehicle. It started around $48,000. My Supra Premium with the manual transmission and a couple of options came in at just under $61,000. So quite a bit of money for a Toyota sports car here, but maybe it makes more sense when you can consider the fact that it's made and designed by BMW, at least the powertrain is. So you get a turbocharged 3.0 liter inline six engine. It makes 382 horsepower, 368 pound-feet of torque, which reaches the rear wheels through a 6-speed manual transmission or the standard 8-speed automatic. Before I go too much further, Jack, have you driven the Supra with the inline six, and what did you think about it?
I've driven it, but long ago. I mean, I did like it. I kind of like the fact that it's a shared platform with our friends at BMW, which is pretty cool. And generally, I liked it quite a bit.
Yeah, I agree. You know, one of the things that I really liked about this car is the sound and the engagement. So you get into a BMW and you feel isolated, you feel insulated, like you don't really hear a lot of what's going on. Toyota did a good job leaving this vehicle feeling a little bit raw, rough around the edges. You get a great vibration through the gear shift. You can hear the exhaust, and it's shockingly quick, right? I mean, everybody said that Toyota might have underrated this engine. 382 horsepower is pretty healthy. A lot of people believe it's more than 400. So it definitely feels quicker than the numbers suggest, even though the numbers themselves are very strong. And I have to say, we were just talking about this off the air. I love the 6-speed manual in this car, but it feels completely different to the one in my GR Toyota. And I guess that's expected because it's a different manufacturer. But, you know, the throws are a little bit longer than I would expect, but it's an engaging feel. The clutch feels great. You know exactly what you're doing at all times. And the way that you sit in the car, the gear shift lever is higher. So you're almost sitting in like a cockpit, and your shoulder, you can move more freely. Whereas in my Corolla, I'm reaching down to hit the gear shifter. So I think from an ergonomic standpoint, it's a little bit better than that. And again, it's very quick. You get great handling. The rear wheel drive here feels lively. It doesn't take much to break those tires loose, I will tell you that. And surprisingly, the ride quality here is pretty good, especially over our broken roads. You know, it feels like we don't ever pave around here. But it's smoother than my GR Corolla, which is surprising for a rough or a focused 2-seat sports car versus kind of a 4-seat hatchback adapted from an economy car. Inside, as I mentioned, you get only 2 seats, but the top premium trim comes with leather upholstery. You get plenty of room. I had no trouble finding a comfortable driving position. There's a good amount of adjustability in these seats. But if you have to take more than one other person with you, or if you have a child with you at any point in time, you may want to go for a sports car that has 4 seats. That said, you do get plenty of cargo space under the rear hatch. You know, you could throw a golf bag back there. I took it grocery shopping and filled it up with a grocery list full of food for 4 people and had no trouble there. So I think, you know, the Supra benefits here from BMW's impact because you get a sort of a little bit higher end interior. But some of the downsides I'm going to talk about when I get to the technology, which is coming right up, come directly from BMW. So you get an 8.8-inch digital gauge cluster and an 8.8-inch touchscreen. And Jack, I'm going to use my hands here, even though the radio people can't see it. What that equates to in this vehicle is not the nice rectangular screen you're used to seeing. It's almost like a sliver that's extremely wide and not very tall. And what that does is it scrunches everything together. And when you're driving quickly, that makes things hard to see, hard to interact with in the vehicle. I just think it could be done a little bit better. You're also running BMW's iDrive here, not a Toyota infotainment system. So as we've talked about in the past, there are too many menus, too many swipes, taps to do some of the things that you want to do. Jack, what do you think of BMW's iDrive? And I know this is a skinned over version of it, but it's basically the same.
It's difficult to use, I think. I think they kind of overreached with it. They're doing way too much with it. And maybe it works statically, but when you're driving a vehicle, I think as we discussed in a previous segment today, for a safety, for just general safety purposes. You don't want to be wading through menu after menu and be confused about what you're trying to do with the infotainment system. It's got to be pretty quick and intuitive.
Yeah, it took me 10 minutes to find the control for the automatic rev match on the transmission and the infotainment system. So I think if that tells you anything, granted, that's a little bit of a niche control that not everybody's going to care about, but shouldn't take that long. That said, you do get a good set of features here. You get a 12-speaker JBL stereo with the premium trim. You get wireless Apple CarPlay, but no Android Auto, unfortunately, for those people. Sirius XM radio, HD radio, and so on. The stereo in this car sounds great, but I prefer listening to the engine in the vehicle, so I didn't play with it too much in that regard. And then also you get a full suite of safety equipment, which came with the optional package this car had. So you get blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alerts, forward collision warnings, adaptive cruise, and so on. So Jack, I think there are a couple of complaints here. First of all, the visibility isn't great because the windows are tiny, as we talked about earlier, and maybe just my size and my age, but I find it exceedingly difficult to get into and out of this vehicle. And maybe the price is a little bit too high, but I think those are my biggest complaints about it.
Yeah, welcome to my world in getting in and out of vehicles. But age is a wonderful thing, isn't it?
Yeah, love it.
It sounds like a wonderful car, though, in a lot of ways. So
I enjoyed it.
Cool.